This week on Rendog. Okay folks, last week we actually skipped one video by Rendog. We done goofed, our bad, but what's even worse, it might be his best video since the season began.
Our ever-vigilant and never-sleeping cameramen have managed to capture a native Grian in its natural habitat.
Yes, it's the documentary episode, and yes, it's hilarious. We'll cover it this week, right after our usual intro stuff. That being said, welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is PixelRiffs, our writer is ZloyXP, and throughout the week we've been pestering you to go watch the Hermitcraft stream day on the Recaps community page. Well, the stream day may be done with, but pestering isn't over yet, as next weekend our very own Hermits will be hosting a panel on Minecon Earth. Cubfan, Mumbo, Iskall, Rendog, and Stress Monster will be talking servers and how to keep one active, then answering some questions you've sent them on Twitter and Reddit. Plus, there's that whole biome vote thing you probably would want to participate in. But this isn't the update recap, this is the Hermitcraft recap. And the Hermits have been tagging. Just this week, the dunce hats changed heads twice, if you're in the Evil Xisuma time zone anyway. Good old Evil X actually recorded a full episode all by himself and had to gather materials from scratch up until he decided to just steal a bunch of diamonds from everyone's storage units. He even successfully begged an iTrade pass out of Impulse. Said pass was later snatched from him by Xisuma. As already reported last week, Evil X tagged iJevin, making him the first person to go through the Tag HQ Walk of Shame. Or rather, not go through it, seeing as how he just skipped the entire thing when the parkour course turned out to be too much of a challenge.
I actually tried that parkour for roughly 30 minutes and didn't get past that, I guess, third jump that entire time.
From him, the name tag went to Iskall on account of everyone else being too hidey. And after legitimately completing the tag parkour, Iskall's challenge is to tag someone while wearing a pumpkin, which might be a little too early for Halloween, but at least it's better than wearing the dunce head. And with all that out of the way, last week on Rendog. After a roller coaster of skeleton horse emotions and a textbook David Attenborough impersonation,
The Grian, now shattered and alone, retreats back into its lair to begin its favorite exercise of closing and opening chests.
Rendog returns to the fantasy district and announces he's becoming a pirate fairy. Yes, really. His plans for a base this season are to create a half-flooded underground hollow full of glowing crystals, colourful plants, and a system of tunnels full of magical wonders and pirate gold. But we might have to wait a little bit longer for that because Ren has a lot on his plate right now. First, he's got to fumigate the Convex termites out of the Big Logs Incorporated shop. Then he gets a little sidetracked, designing the layout of Grand Central Station in creative mode, settling on an octagonal design instead of the planned donut, because donuts are pretty awkward to build and don't really have a lot of straight lines in them, but also because the octagonal design looks pretty freaking sweet. There's also the siren song of Doc M's Diamond Block Casino across the water, where Ren wins on his first attempt and then promptly loses everything. But that's okay, because Big Logs Incorporated has actually done a massive trade in selling those wood blocks, and before long, Ren is able to splash out on yet another of Doc's strange business enterprises, donkey boats. At least he's ahead of the curve, the entire server will want one soon.
How can you have a breakdown in a day, man?
Well, you tell me.
Oh, oh, you have a leaking radiator here?
Realizing that he probably wants to go into business with the man who's taking all his money, Doc and Ren join forces and go full capitalist, creating the first Hermitcraft stock exchange. Working from a design by a couple of his community members, Ren shapes the exterior of a mountain into a monolithic quartz build where the top 10 companies on the server will battle it out to dominate the market. Yes, we don't understand how it works either, but someone's going to be making a lot of money. It's probably going to be Doc, isn't it? He's already doing pretty well out of the Mushroom Casino, which makes up for the fact that the Mushroom Block shop inside has been a little neglected. But maybe the fact that he redstones up a magical frost bridge using some invisible armor stands might draw a few more people to the area. When he isn't fixing the leaky radiator on Ren's donkey boat, he redstonifies the inside of the stock exchange with lamps to indicate just how popular the stock is. The higher the lights go, the more expensive the stock you're buying, and they plan to charge everyone for entrance to a vault, which is probably going to function like the bank of Hermitcraft, because Doc and Ren seem like the ideal people to trust with your money. Which FalseSymmetry does, with quite a bit of her savings.
Dang it! Oh, okay, fine. I've literally just lost 2 diamond blocks. This is why I hate gambling. I'm so bad at it.
False went on a shopping spree this week, if only to spend the diamonds earned in the ink shop on something. The dice don't necessarily work out in her favour, as doesn't the topographical situation of the commercial district. After her recreational money wasting, False suddenly realises the district has run out of building space, and so, before adding any new businesses to the place, False does the community a favour and builds a bridge over a non-river into the land of more financial opportunities. Some of the sweet real estate is recently taken by Cubfan and his brick shop. It's all in the name, really. It's a brick house selling you bricks to build houses. Models available include nether brick, red nether brick, endstone brick, stone brick, plus the ever-popular brick.
It's fun.
This is in part a celebration of the Convex mega smelter being fully decorated, with the aforementioned bricks, of course. The final touches were glowy Tesla coils atop the structure, complemented by the made-up technology of Vex magic. New alliances are made when the Convex provide free access to this smelter and all their farms to iJevin as a form of gratitude for actually paying his dues. iJevin 2 allowed both Cub and Scar to AFK at his iron farm array on a certain day of the week. That isn't even the only friend Convex made this week, as both Scar and Cub were pivotal in Grian's quest to get a skeleton horse. And by pivotal, we mean Scar accidentally killed half of the ones they were trying to keep.
Let's do it. There's some creepers over there.
Oh,
It's
shoot,
stopped.
I did.
There's no more storm. There's no
I
more
definitely
storm.
didn't kill
We
another
should probably
horse.
sleep.
So how do you kill the skeleton on the horse? Because I killed the
With
horse every
great
time.
Still, the whole group ended up with more skelly submarines than they needed, so the remaining 3 horses were given silly names and a stable to reside in until someone decides to buy them for their own. A bonus bet was even made. Whoever's additional horse is bought out first gets to keep a skelly horse head and some prize diamonds. Regulars of the recap will be happy to know that Grian's new equine companion did not meet the same fate as Jack Skellybone I, and is now safely making his base a bigger mess than it already was. Said base was, for once, expanded downwards this week to the ocean floor, with walls of the lower levels serving as an aquarium for exotic fishes and multicoloured coral. One thing Grian doesn't keep as a pet is the Wither, which, yes, we are challenging him to do, but that's beside the point. Surprisingly, Grian has no problem slaying his own Wither boss, and later adds to his base that beacon thing, which he doesn't understand. Good times with Scar's personal project is the landscaping shop. This one is sure to grab your attention because the place for you to drop off your request is a giant organically built tree towering over the marketplace. The plans for it go even further, 4 different biomes sprouting at the tree's roots, showcasing Scar's terraforming skills. For now though, he left those to his fanbase to brainstorm, and storm they did. As if the treetop itself wasn't impressive enough, a cloud of glass is now floating over it, peppering the foliage with synthetic snow. How he had any glass left after the volcano project is already short of a miracle, and seeing him shape it into this meteorological marvel is frankly kind of breathtaking. The stormy weather doesn't stop Zedaph from venturing into space and looking for new places to settle down. Sure, that's how that works. Long story short, there are plans for a treehouse in the jungle, a village in a flower forest, and a vault with memorabilia and money in the outer end. I guess he enjoys having all of his dearest possessions dangling over the void. Out of already established places, Zedaph chooses the desert temple to work on, this time focusing on the Bedophagus contraption. One can now grab some shut-eye with the lid shut on them, seeing as how the lid itself does close automatically once the sun is down. This serves as a sleep-appropriate time detector of sorts. Xisuma, on the other hand, removes a temple this week, and all the water surrounding it for good measure. His claim is to rival the Guardian farm of Cub and Iskall, but really it's just a convenient place for him to chill, and there's no active intention to sell the drops whatsoever. After the last armor stands are delivered to his Tag HQ project, which Cleo had a field day with, X moves on to another community service, more admin-y and command blocky ones. In a dark basement on a remote island now reside several custom villagers with unique facial features and even more unique trades, ones for custom heads in exchange for gems. This is basically Phase 1, allowing people to acquire heads of the other Hermitcraft members, including ones who long ago abandoned their survival multiplayer series or Minecraft altogether. To catch a bit of a break, X visits Tango Tech's overproductive golem-powered poppy farm, and together they slay a Wither underwater, which goes well thanks to the abundant sea life of the server distracting the big bad boss. Our theory is they're just doing this to get back at COD for lagging out the server with their pathfinding.
You ready, Tango?
I guess, yeah, I'm terrified.
Me too. Ah! It didn't spawn.
Didn't work.
Tango's Iron Titan gets its final iteration with the Golem Killing Room and the Watching Golems Die Room both being entirely underwater, and iron being available at the Tradesman's entrance. Who that iron will be available to, besides Tango and Welsknight, we're yet to find out, as Tango has made no iron shop on the server just yet.
What am I doing with my life?
Speaking of, Welsknight has quite the trouble with a farm of his own. In a shocking twist, half of his squid-birthing river turned out to be a birch forest biome in disguise, despite there being no birch and no land when excavation began. This rendered more than half of Wells' novelty inkwell pretty much useless, and False's ink prices suddenly much more reasonable. This is unfortunate, especially because black dye will come in handy with Wells' Modern District roadwork project and his needs for massive amounts of black, grey and light grey concrete. His other contribution to the community is uncovering the spoiler shop from the spoiler-proof dirt. The owner of aforesaid spoiler shop has other concerns though, like precisely how much glass is required to turn the lower hemisphere of his storage ball into an aquarium. It turns out the answer is quite a lot, although a brief trip to Scar's volcano is enough to put it all into perspective. So Mumbo's week is mostly spent in the desert gathering sand and recovering his gear from the husks that turned up and ate him. It's not all bad news though, because Rendog arrives to return some gear he'd left outside the log shop and give Mumbo a brief lesson in Trident aerodynamics. Smelting all that sand into glass leaves Mumbo looking for a new source of fuel, so, you guessed it, he builds a kelp farm just offshore. Offshore is a good place to put stuff when your base has an ocean view, and this week ImpulseSV decides it's also a great place to put the villagers you don't want. So his latest villager disposal system rockets them into the sky on a bubble column and flings them at the nearby lagoon.
Right? You're gonna make it? Are you gonna make it to the bay? No.
Luckily, his patrons mean more to him than his villagers, and he chooses to honour that relationship by starting a patron monument build far enough out that the armour stands won't cause too much lag for other players, because each patron is getting their own armour stand, complete with a player head, a name tag, and a slime block launcher to spring them into position whenever the governor comes to visit. ZombieCleo's armor stands get into way more stick acrobatics. While iJevin will have to wait for his personal lessons in armor standing, the Tag HQ commission from Xisuma is complete and amazing. But this did not come without trouble, from having to rewatch all the tag videos for research, to Cub's armor stand refusing to lay down. The whole process was riddled with quirks. The very pinnacle of it all was when it turned out that armor stands can wear elytra but can only wear it vertically, and Cleo had to make a decorative one out of stone pressure plates held by invisible mannequins.
Mother, help me!
The finished product is enough to wow Iskall 85 when he arrives to take the Walk of Shame. Once he's received his challenge and added one of his own, Iskall returns to his base in the frozen ocean and, in a rare occurrence, time-lapses some white fog into the giant crater he's created. But then, while modelling the central structure of the base, he gets stuck on what exactly to do next, as none of the materials quite fit what he wants to achieve. So, while he's waiting for inspiration to strike, he opts to make the circle more rough and organic, with drips of ice forming down the sides. Joe Hills is focused on organic matters too, with a homegrown pumpkin patch in the basement of his Halloween merchandise shop, so he can have some stock ready for sale once the season of spooks rolls around. But as you'll know if you watched last week's recap, our very own trick or treat is Recap Tag, and last week we sent you to spam Joe's comments with Spider-Man references.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. Hermitcraft Recap.
He seemed a little confused by this, which is actually kind of the whole point, so well done everyone. But he managed to pass on the tag to somebody else by digging a hole, building an H out of terracotta, writing tinfoil chef on a sign, and burying the whole thing. So TFC is our next target, and it looks like he could use a little cheering up after losing his tools and armor to lava for the second time this week. So we want you to head over to his latest episode and watch this tale of woe unfold, and then say something nice in his comments. Leave a message of goodwill. Hopefully he'll appreciate it, or maybe he'll just be as confused as Joe was, but if it can take the sting out of losing those hard-earned diamonds, so much the better. At least he's got a lot of kelp now, having set up an auto-harvesting kelp farm and a self-sustaining furnace array to cook it all. And finally there's iJevin and his many farms that don't really work as intended. The one that started nice and healthy is the villager-powered crop farm, assembled so neatly iJevin needed a whole storage unit just to hold the spoils, up until some zombies got into it and some of the guys got eaten.
So we don't have to worry about that. there's this thing called a fence gate. I think that's what it's called. I should probably learn how to use this thing.
To repopulate more efficiently, Jevin remodeled one of the farm's levels into a villager breeder, with no automatic baby output, but functional at least. The next challenge was to fit a mob grinder in between the floating iron farms, which didn't work right away, but was sorted out after some additional research. All redstoned out, there were two things left for Jevin to do: get decorating at his underwater ravine build, and decorate he did, with diamond blocks no less, and get revenge on Grian for letting him drop from a slime block machine while AFK. Although this job was not deemed worthy of dirtying his own hands, instead, Jevin left an assassination request at Iskall's black market. We'll see how this whole thing unfolds next week. For now, that's going to be it for this week's recap. Our writer is ZloyXP, and my name is Pixel Riffs. If you want to see Zloy hating his internet connection but still pranking it up a storm, check out his latest video. The link will be in the end cards. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.